Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Tampines. 晚上好，丹比尼的居民。首先，让我感谢媒体还有所有警察，七早八早就来这边帮我们 stand by， 还有准备。I would like to say a thanks for all media staff and all the police officers who stand by earlier in this muddy condition waiting for us. Thank you. Without further ado, I'll pass the time back to Zhen Dao. He's the MC for tonight.
Hi, welcome everyone. Good evening, residents of Ang Mo Kio, Tampines, as well as all Singaporeans. Good evening. 大家傍晚好，欢迎来到我们的群众大会，最后一次的群众大会2025年。谢谢你们的时间。大家好，我的名是王正道，欢迎你们来到这里，与我们分享时间。来，我们今天就在我们群众大会开始吧。Come. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay, welcome to our People's Power Final Rally. Thank you for making your time here today with us. And together at this rally, we hope to present to you what we think about what our policies are. Today, I will be your MC, and thank you for taking your time here today. 大家傍晚好，我是王正道。今天代表人民力量党在此与大家分享我们最后一个群众大会。我今天是你们的主持人，然后希望你们能聆听我们的政策意见，谢谢。今天我们第一个演讲的是 Mr. Tedius Thomas. Today our first speaker will be Mr. Tedius Thomas. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Good evening, Tampines. 大家好 Auntie Uncle, Hosebo. Selamat sejahtera and welcome to all Tampines and Ang Mo Kio residents. This is the fourth rally PPP is holding. I don't know how many rallies other oppositions have held in the Tampines ward and in Ang Mo Kio ward, but you be the judge. It's Labor Day today. May Day, May 1st. But Singaporeans are still working, as you can see. It is because things need to be done. As Singaporeans, sometimes we have no choice. The irony to commemorate Workers' Day, is this the life and work balance you are talking about? Many years ago, in the hawker center, you will see posters showing you how to eat well, eat less salt, count your calories. But these days, they are telling you where to go and find for the cheapest food. The salt is not added to your food now, it is actually added to your wound. It doesn't matter if you have the best airport in the world. If you ask your citizens to download app to look for where the cheapest food is in the HDB, you have failed. In the polling center coming 3rd May, don't think someone else will vote for PPP. You must take it in your own interest. Because we are not voting for balance, we are voting for change. The days when we had to tighten our belts, eat fish instead of chicken, eat eggs instead of meat, must not be handed down to our children. Because if you do that, not only have you failed as a parent, you also have failed as a citizen not to speak up and vote for change. You know, when they had plans to build a high-speed railway from Singapore to KL, what was in my mind was not how we can go to KL for holidays on a weekend. I was actually thinking what an easy access we have built for people to come over here to work.
It only takes 90 minutes from KL to Singapore. And when our children go for interview in the future, guess who will be in the same room as them? This is the reason for our policies to be in place to protect our interests first. Young voters, do remember in 2024, MOM has revealed that on average 660 foreigners were barred every year in Singapore for submitting fake education qualifications. Do you want to compete with someone with a possible fake degree? You have heard this many times, but I'm sorry, I really have to bring this up. I just can't comprehend this about what was said about spending $18 for or $20 for pasta when you can buy $5 for wonton mee. Auntie, uncle, inang kong, antua lubwe, chapwe ko, di chapwe ko, mingkia chia, antua goko, wonton mee le kaupe. Do you actually think Singaporeans spend $30 for a meal as a family? It is $900 a month. And it is only for one meal. Do you expect us to spend half of our salary for food? This is exactly what we mean by being disconnected to the ground and the reason why you need like-minded people like us to represent you, to be your voice. We have not only spoken about various issues over the last week, we have also given feasible, attainable solutions for change. There is only so much we can say, and change is the only thing left for Singapore. Here are a few policies that was aimed at the heart of Singaporeans that which we will mandate. In the health sector, we will need to raise hospital beds to population ratio. In the migration sector, free trade agreements must not have clauses that impact the jobs of local PMETs. And prioritizing citizens for foreign spouses of Singapore citizens who give birth in Singapore. Minimum residency occupancy period of 12 years must be fulfilled before a Singaporean citizen can be granted. To strengthen the employment sector, human resource or employment agencies must employ Singaporeans to ensure accountability when employing. Amongst other policies, we are looking for good governance that resonates the Singapore people first. After this GE, whatever the results may be, our hearts remain open, and when we continue to do our walkabouts as normal people or as NP, do approach us, but remember, when your children ask you why is it hard to find a job, or why is it we are using coupons to pay for food, be prepared to tell them the truth. End of the day, let's make Singapore our home. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Guys, I can't stress enough of what Tedius just said. Singapore needs a change. Do you all agree? Yes. Do you know what he said about fake education degrees? Worries me a lot. As a young Singaporean, I stand before you here today. A fake degree which can't be verified, and 660 of them a year. This is the future I am competing against. Do you know, all my life growing up, I've been told, study hard, work hard, next time so that I can find a good job. Do you think this is fair to us? 大家好，刚才 Mr. Tedius 所说的，我想再强调多一次。现在他说我们每年外国人有660个人平均，我的文凭是假的。这是我们下一代所需要面临的挑战。你们觉得这公平吗？我们今天在这里想对大家说，我从小到大，我父母告诉我，用功读书，努力读书，改次能找到一个好工作。我们现在这一代所需要面临的这个问题，对我们来说，对我们本身土长的新加坡人来说，你们觉得公平吗？ 这件事，我今天听了他的演讲后，是我深深的难过的感受。我希望我们的下一代能有更好的平台与这些外国人相比。Next, I will be introducing our speaker, Martin Ho, who was a retired ex-civil servant. He will be giving a speech, and what impresses me most is how he chose to step out of retirement. Like many other civil servants, he did not have the chance to criticize the government when he was serving. Today, he decided to speak up and tell you all what is wrong with the government today, even though he's retired. Let's give him a round of applause and listen to what he has to say. Thank you.
In 1980, when SIA pilots threatened to strike, what did LKY do? LKY had a face-to-face meeting with them, 5 feet apart, look at them in the eyes and tell them, if you continue with this strike, I will let SIA collapse and I will rebuild, start all over again. You think about it. 65 minutes later, the pilots gave in. That's when he told the story at Fullerton Square in 1980s rally for the election that whoever rules Singapore must have the iron in him. If not, forget it. This message is telling all future prime ministers, including his son Lee Hsien Loong, "Mai kia, ai zai." When things go against Singapore, you must have the spirit of Lee Kuan Yew, the courage, the determination, and not the spirit of fear. What we have seen over the past few days, when Trump decided to impose a 10% tariff on Singapore, our newly minted Prime Minister sent forth a message of fear. You need us, PAP, to see you through. But we look at him, kia kia. All the messages he sent, followed by his predecessor, Mr. Lee Hsien Loong, is to tell Singaporeans to be fearful, to watch out for some bad things that are going to happen. But today, we are much more well prepared than we were in the 60s. We had no factories or industrial estates. Don't talk about free trade agreements. Even if Trump decided to do away with the free trade agreement, there are other ways to restructure the economy of Singapore. In fact, if you think clearly, we can attract more factories in this surrounding region to come to Singapore to build their factories, because our tariff to America is only 10%, whereas some of our neighboring countries is a lot more. So we have the relative advantage. I have to remind our government. The other thing, the fear that they put in us, is that if PAP doesn't win and we don't have enough good caliber people, scholars, super scale officers to become ministers, to see us through, we will be dead. True? We didn't even have an army to start with when Goh Keng Swee was appointed to start SAF. And was Goh Keng Swee a military general, a paper general? No! I tell you, Lee Kuan Yew has built very stable institutions to see us through in the event that we have lost all our ministers. Why? When I joined the public service in the 80s, we have the minister followed by the PERMSEC, and below the PERMSEC you have a deputy secretary and the director that oversees several departments. Today, if you look at the structure of the civil service, below the minister, you have the PERMSEC, the Deputy Secretary, and then you have the various agencies that are led by CEOs. Below the CEO, you have Director Generals, several of them Director Generals. Below the Director Generals, you have Group Directors. Below the Group Directors, you have the Directors. Then you have, below the Directors, you have so many super scale officers backing him up. With such a robust structure, even if the minister were to go on leave for 1 year, the ministry will still run. What we need is not more paper generals to lead them. What we need, actually, if you have enough opposition in the parliament, we can decide who to appoint as a minister, even if this person is an MP or not an MP. We can have some of the members of parliament recommend who he thinks is a good candidate. After that, go through some interviews. This fellow is capable, is willing to serve the country for a certain amount of pay, has track records. Then we have a few we can compare, and then the opposition party together with PAP can select what they think is the most appropriate choice to lead or head the ministry. Okay? So forget about the spirit of fear at such times as this. I tell you, more challenges are coming, yes, but together we will achieve. That was the message that Lee Kuan Yew sent to us. These are my people, these are my friends, this is my home, this is my country. And we are not going to give it up to foreigners just because we think foreign talents are better than us. No way, we are not going to give away our rights as citizens of Singapore. Okay? Now, the next message I want to impart upon you is that the person you choose, the party you choose, must have the courage to speak up the truth with integrity. For example, when Workers' Party was found in Tampines GRC to have some conflict of interest or some governance issue in managing the town council, Mr. Meng Seng spoke up against Workers' Party, not because he sided with the PAP, but because he wanted to speak the truth without fear. Now you know why Workers' Party hated us and last minute abandoned Marine Parade Bridle to compete in Tampines to knock him out in Tampines. If you elect for Workers' Party, I say you have elected for PAP in blue. They are in alliance with PAP. PAP, in case they don't win enough to form a government, they will merge with Workers' Party. And why do you think Pritam Singh paid the $300,000 a year to be the leader of the opposition? Is he not obligated to PAP? When he was told by hook or by crook, get this fellow out, I don't want to see his face, Workers' Party agreed. Because there are many issues that PAP, the People's Power Party, disagreed with Workers' Party. The work culture, they refused to speak up when a law was passed to criminalize anyone who refused to take the jab. Questionable. Questionable. They just concede. All they are interested is to be there as an MP to collect their super scale or whatever high pay as a MP. Right? And for PAP MPs, even better. Once you are appointed as a mayor, you get an additional $660,000 a year. You don't need these people to be paid such high salary to do simple things that even a non-graduate can do. You don't need a minister to tell you if you cannot afford chicken, you have eggs. That is stupid. Very stupid. Do we want to be led by these people who are placed there to have their super scale pay at our expense? It's nonsense. So we must have people who dare to speak up the truth without fear. Okay, since I have a bit more time, I want to talk a bit about pro-family. What do we mean by pro-family? PPP is the only party who will dare to speak up against pro-party because the other parties are afraid to offend certain groups of people with gay tendencies. No! We are pro-family because we believe marriage is between a man and a woman so that you can produce children. Even if a man marries a man or a woman marries a woman, you cannot adopt children and say you start a family and then impart woke culture to your young children and then next time they also become gay. How are you going to have children? But besides this, we also talk about, and some parties also talk about, making it more affordable for young couples to have homes, to start a family, cheaper goods, essentials, subsidies in milk powder, for example, diapers. No, these are all the material needs that we can propose for the government to help young people get married. But besides that, there's also an important thing that there must be a culture, values for young people to want to get married, to start a family. And I think the Malays, the Muslims, have done it well. Our candidate Abba has got 5 sons. She's proud of it. So later on, I would like to hear from her what motivated her to have so many children and despite of that, able to serve the community, social services, because I think they have a closely knitted community to uphold each other. The Chinese don't have that culture. Can the government as a whole do something to promote this culture? It is left to be seen, but I say it's not easy. But at least we try to impart certain values. Right, I remember when I graduated, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew started the Great Marriage Debate, followed by SDU, etc. The idea is to get people like me to get married. But I had a problem because if I get married, before I can get married, I need to have a flat. But it's a chicken and egg problem. Should I have my house first, then the girls will come and get married? Or should I get married first and then look for a house? I was staying in a 3-room flat. Very difficult to have my wife share the 3-room flat with me and my brother and my parents before I find a flat. So it was a struggle for me. But now, I think things have to be changed to make it more favorable for our young children to have a family. Some more? You want some more? Do you want some more? Okay. Besides pro-family, we really need to look into the restructuring of the government when we have more opposition in parliament. We cannot just have Workers' Party and PAP alone, or even PSP, because some of them are afraid to speak up. We need a catalyst, Meng, in parliament to speak up if he sees anything wrong. It cannot be own self, check own self with one party, or we check ourselves with 2 parties. We need more parties to counter-check on each other and to have more ideas. Because if you have only 1 or 2 parties, and it's like incest breeding, no? Insider breeding, and you only have the idea that only scholars can lead, then all the ideas seems to gel because everybody may be from the same alumni, or same kind of education, same thinking, they all agree with one another, and you are the odd one out, and they brush you out. It should not be that way. More ideas should be brought to the public, for the public to make a decision, to make a choice. For critical issues, like during a pandemic, if you think the solution is vaccines, let the public have a say. If you think that so-and-so deserves to be a minister, and you have maybe shortlisted 2 or 3 among the different parties, political parties, put it up for voting. Only then you can have the best person to lead Singapore. So, come what may, from this election, what bo kia, what zai? I have the iron in me I'm not afraid. That should be what PM Lee or PM Lawrence Wong should be telling us. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin, for your passionate speech. You know, I've been looking at some of the comments online, and everybody is saying right now PAP are fielding candidates from the civil service, also known as paper generals. Do you trust them? Martin, as an ex-civil servant, although he might be a bit loso, although you might find it a bit draggy, he have the heart and guts to stand out. Do you know how difficult it is to be standing on this stage here today? We are putting our lives out here for a change. During my last rally, I talked about how the civil servants and people working for the civil service should think carefully for PAP across the last 5 years. How many corruption cases were there? Do you know, it saddens me to see the Keppel Harbour case being let off with a stern warning. What does this tell for people serving in the civil service? Do you, the media, dare to report what I said last week? I did not see what I said written in the newspaper. I hope all of you can go back and look through what I said last rally. There have been a culture of fear being instilled in us. Across the past 5 years, it was not just corruption. There was adultery in the civil service, and someone hid it for 2 years or even 3 years. Civil servants, you're telling me, is this the government and the values you stand for? We as common people have no choice but to step out on this stage and tell you that something is wrong. A change needs to be made, and your votes says a lot about the values you have in you. I empathize with Martin. He might be at this age where he could retire, but he chose to step up. Do you know that's not easy? Ask any civil servant today whether they can criticize the government. I serve NS, and I've been told I can't make any comments about the Israel-Palestinian war or any comments related to the government. Is this freedom of speech? No. Should I be afraid to voice out my concerns in Singapore, where I'm a Singaporean myself? Yes. With that, I leave it to you all to think about it, about the fear culture we have in each and every one of you. Tampines 红帽桥的居民，我简单的说一下，这个马丁是一个退休的公务人员，他觉得是时候站出来，指责政府所说5年前所说的表现和他们的政策。我在上一个群众大会说，5年前我们 BAP 政府有贪污事件，有婚外情事件，这些事件应该代表我们所未来的5年的政府吗？我所说的题目在前一个群众大会根本没有登上报纸。我希望你们能花一些时间看一下我在上一个群众大会所说的内容。谢谢你们。Guys, next we have our beloved Mr. Samy Lee, and all of you all might be laughing at him on how he might be a competent person in government. You all might not see it, but I do. Tell me, PAP supporters, what should you be requesting for the next 5 years in your life? For the GST hike, the government has given you save GST vouchers, correct? There have been carbon tax increase in the next 5 years as well, and they have given out vouchers for you all. Tell me what's the next voucher they should be giving you as Singaporeans. Any one of you have an idea? GST vouchers, sadly, they have given it. Any other answer? When I asked this question among my party members, Mr. Samy Lee was the one who could give me a direct answer. His answer is healthcare. Tell me, in Singapore, can you afford to get sick? 新加坡人，你们现在有些人能指责我们说为什么我们选 Mr. Samy 当一个候选人？我今天想跟大家分享，如今的政府起了 GST， 起了二氧化碳税，他们还缺了什么给你们的政策？他们给了 GST 汇券，他们给了二氧化碳汇券，还有什么政策他们能为你做的？当我问这个问题，在我们人民力量党里面时 ，Mr. Samy 是唯一能给我一个答案的。我所说的答案是医药服务。你们在新加坡，你们负担得起一场病吗？一场手术费，那个费用是多少？我们人民能不能生病？小时候，我长大的时候，我父母跟我说，新加坡人不能承担得起一个病情，因为那个代价实在是太高了。好，我把时间让给 Mr. Samy， 我希望你们能聆听他所想说的。谢谢。
Hello, good evening all. Okay, I am Samuel, the People's Power Party candidate for Ang Mo Kio GRC, and I'm truly grateful for everyone's support here, despite the condition, very muddy field. Today will be the last rally for GE 2025. So I recap, ever since my campaign, I have focused on a few things. One, the job insecurity among the young. Second, the increasingly unaffordable healthcare needs among the forgotten Singaporeans, such as retirees, that necessitates a MediShield reform. This is what was written in our manifesto. Third, the strong mandate that this PAP government is still trying to seeking actually requires a strong political will to solve the social issues that we are facing now. Sadly, I do not see how the PAP shows their political will to actually get things done. In addition, in my previous rally, I have also briefly mentioned how our candidate Abba Arun from the Tampines GRC and I can actually make this yellow ribbon project, something that helps the ex-convict to rebuild their life, a cause that deserves everyone's full support to achieve its intended effect. Today, I want everyone to visualize this instead. Over the decades, Singapore's total fertility rate has been in steady descent. From the highs of the 1960s to the lows of today, the numbers have continued to fall, just like an aircraft slowly losing altitude. At first, it wasn't alarming. But with this aircraft altitude warning chime ringing loud and clear, the trend was unmistakable. To counter this, the PAP government pulled hard on the controls liberalizing immigration in a bold move to arrest the population freefall. It was as if the pilots yanked the yoke backwards, increasing the angle of attack dramatically, hoping for a quick lift, a sudden rise. But that's not how aerodynamics or demographic, by the way, works. Instead of climbing, the plane enters a stall. Jobs displacement hits hard. Even those NUS and NTU graduates felt the turbulence. It's like belongings tumbling from the overhead cabin. Jobs once secured in Singapore are now scattered worldwide, leaving many hurt. The cockpit indicators were flashing. Singaporeans were being edged out of meaningful participation in the workforce. Just like the underemployment is so glaring. How many graduates are now taking the part-time job as a gig worker to supplement their income, or even worse, become a full-time gig worker instead? This is how the store blazer bled as the plane slowed and losing that lift. Meanwhile, the government tried tweaking policy norms, marriage incentive, baby bonuses, housing perks, hoping to restart the engines of family growth. But nothing worked. It was like watching pilots scrambling buttons and levers, ignoring the stall warning and blaring right in front of them. You all should think, why? Anyway, regardless what happens, there came 2023. Singapore's total fertility rate has plunged to the historically low at 0.97. Below replacement, below sustainable. A number is so low that the most feared ground proximity warning system is screaming. Now this is no longer about altitude, but whether we will crash and when. There is still one move left: to hand the controls to a new pilot, one who can read and trust the instruments, correct the course, so that the plane will be back to the safe skies. So, what actually matters now is that former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong must be held accountable in GE 2025 for his population policy and bad governance. Because if we keep ignoring the store, sooner or later, we will meet the terrain. So, I urge everyone, choose your pilot wisely, who tackles the root cause, who shows leadership without throwing their co-pilot under the bus when they faltered, and of course, who will not steer us into this woke and broke with divisive trends that split our society. And for those who are curious what does woke and broke stands for, my party comrade, party chairman Derek Sim will elaborate more when he has his own airtime. So on the 3rd May, this polling day, I urge every voters of Ang Mo Kio GRC and Tampines GRC to vote for People's Power Party confidently, without hesitation. Make Singapore home again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Samuel. In Singapore, are we afraid to make a mistake? Are you afraid to make a mistake? Should we be given any chance to grow and learn? If I'm to penalize you and throw you in jail for every small mistake you make, do you think you are still a human being? You might ask us, why we keep talking about the Yellow Ribbon Project. Personally, I know a friend who was an ex-convict. He made some mistakes in his life. He went to jail and he didn't take care of his daughter. Last year, he had his marriage and had a new kid. What he told me melted my heart. He said, "Bro, I want to be a good dad and be a proper dad for my family." As an ex-convict, should we give them the chance to start a family and start their life anew? You know, I have been talking to these people and asked them, why do you choose to join 黑社会, Black Society? Why do you choose to join a gang? Back then, in Malaysia and Singapore, we were under the British colonial rule. Many of them simply formed their gangs to protect each other. That was the reasoning. And today, I feel we should give them a second chance. What Samuel did not make him a criminal. It was simply a rash act. I hope you guys can understand the difference. Next, we will have our leader from Tampines GRC, Mr. William, giving you a speech. He has been in politics for many years. And like you all might ask, why did Mr. Goh choose to stand out in this election? You know, they both actually decided to retire last general election. But because they feel that Singapore today is in serious deep shit, and that's why they are standing out again here today. Give Mr. William some time. Thank you.
大家晚上好。今天我来到这里，感触很多。回想到80年代，我还住在港崩。80年代是所谓的最后几个港崩了。我记得在这种地的时候，我们小孩子跑来跑去，玩到整身都是泥沙，结果呢，回到家又在跑，妈妈拿藤条，对吗？那时候我们真的很开心，没有要求什么东西，每个邻里都是一家人。每逢过节的时候，新年、马来回教球的开斋节，我们都是互相赠送糕点。试想下，现在你们有没有这种感觉呢？在学校，我还很清楚记得一首歌 Call on me Singapore。 还有谁记得这首歌呢？现在呢，你们还会唱吗？你敢吗？所以呢，回味无穷。当然，还有一部连续剧，我真的回想起来，那叫做《小人物的心声》。 也是我们本地作者参加吴家明什么？吴家明的作曲。今天我就在这边跟你们说一位小人物的心声。2011年11月16号，我们的国父李光耀的生日，我正式当了一位德士司机。然后呢，我在2021年的时候成立了 Facebook 最大的德士司机的网页。为什么我要成立呢？其实很简单，德士师傅其实是很孤单的，一天8到12个小时，一个人在驾车，没有一个群体跟他们说话。所以呢，我把这个群体结合起来，给他们说他们的辛酸。在2014年的时候，Uber 进军新加坡，那时候我极力反对，每个师傅都在反对。为什么？70年代的时候，李光耀说过一句话：为什么我们要用霸王车？很简单，德士司机也是要赚吃吗？为什么要给那些霸王车赚呢？ Uber 进来之后，德士师傅的收入大受影响，至少跌2成到3成。之后，2019年，如果你们还记得，我在江尼机场直接抓了一位马来西亚车辆的师傅。为什么我要去抓呢？ LDA 真的没有用，废柴一位。据前天我说的，新加坡有法律，不过 LDA 他们根本都不要去理会法律。马来西亚车辆在新加坡载客人的时候，已经触犯了新加坡条例。为什么他们不去抓呢？主要原因就是因为你们新加坡人太喜欢马来西亚车了，因为太便宜。不过，你们试想看看，假如现在的政策不改变的话，你们的将来就像我们一样，变成一个私家车司机或者德士司机。这话题我会等着我的同僚等一下再说多一点。试想看，那些在马路上奔跑的德士师傅、私家车师傅，全部都是 你们的父母、阿公、阿嬷，你要他们给马来西亚车辆欺负吗？假如你们不需要，请你们停止利用马来西亚车辆。徐宏达说过一句话，他在路交局的一天 MOT， 他说过他会去抓那些马来西亚车，他承诺过这一点，有做到吗？没有，嘴巴说话而已，他根本不在乎德士师傅和私交车师傅的死活。请问人民行动党的部长可以这样对我们，你说他们可以不可以这样对你们呢？还有做 food delivery 的，他们怎么对待你们？突然间把法令改成一大乱，明天不可以用 PMD 来做你的 food delivery， 有理由吗？现在更离谱的是什么？马来西亚摩托车在抢他们的生意，路交局在做什么屁呢？放屁就有。现在我还要想问路交局还有人力部，那些马来西亚的摩托车还有私交车，他们是不是触犯了人力部的法律呢？因为现在我们已经 full employment full CPF contribution 了，是不是触犯了这一条法律？所以呢，请投我们一票，主要的是在国会里那些精英会帮我们这种小人物出声吗？还是他们有其他议题要说呢？哪一个比较重要？最后，从第一天到今天的第9天，我从来始终没有讲过疫苗课题。其实在我这一组里面呢，我是最开放的。不过打什么疫苗我只有一个 condition， 第一就是不会传染给别人，或者你不会被传染。假如两者都不可以的话，何必去冒生命危险去打疫苗呢？那好，我把时间交给别人，谢谢。
谢谢。Thank you, William. I shall summarize his speech in short for you all in English. Basically, William is a taxi PMV driver and he started his own Facebook group for all the taxi drivers. He has been voicing out against the illegal Malaysians that are coming here on our Singaporean streets, doing our jobs illegally. Do you know he has been threatened and verbally abused online? How many Malaysians want him dead because of this? Here he is, risking his life, trying to tell your Singaporeans that something is wrong on the streets. And many of you are just laughing at him. Ha, just another taxi driver. He is no ordinary taxi driver. He got balls to stand up and say that this is wrong. He risked his life today trying to fight for the rights of our own Singaporeans. All these are happening behind the scenes. I hope you all know this and understand the sacrifice he's making on behalf of all of you all. Next, we have Mr. Peter from our Tampines GRC team coming up to give a speech. And I would like to introduce you all to him briefly. He has developed his own business and he has his own patents patented across the world. He is known worldwide for his achievements and he has shared about them. Tell me, Singaporeans, do you all want to be millionaires? Yes or no? Of course, you can have your choice, but most of us wish we are millionaires. I was talking to a resident where he said he can't afford the COE price. He's an elderly uncle running his own business. He has his lorry or minivan to help with the transport of logistics. And now he's telling me he have to retire next year because of the COE prices. Do you all want to start your own business and become rich someday? Yes. Do you all want to pursue your dreams? Yes. And make an impact on the global stage? Why should COE prices stop us? How many of us have driving license but do not have cars? Exactly. And who is driving up these COE prices? So why are we, Ang Mo Kio GRC, fighting for Singaporeans? Because of Lee Hsien Loong immigration policy. All of us want to have our own dreams, and we do not want Singaporeans suffering under foreigners. We want to give the next generation a chance to pursue their own dreams. Mr. Peter is an example of a successful businessman. As he ran for this election, he tried to stay low-key as low as possible for one reason. Do you all know what reason that is? For fear that as an opposition candidate, his business interests might be affected. Think carefully of who you vote for next 5 years, and let's give him the time to speak. Thank you.
Bom Bibi， 各位朋友，大家好。在我还没有开始之前，有些朋友说我懂不懂得讲英语嘛？其实我也会，不过呢，我就是坚定着用华语来演讲。这些朋友如果要听马来语、印度语或者是英语，可以下载翻译软件在手机里。还有那些想要更了解我的，从抖音、Facebook 打我的名字 SG 就能搜索到我，了解我到底是做些什么。所以 you are smart to be here 我讲的都是真心话。首先，我先感谢大家在这个烂泥一片的地方听我们在这里讲话，谢谢你们，说声对不起，谢谢你们辛苦了。这几天 Tampines 季选区 Tampines GRC 很多朋友问我，要我告诉他们，工人党在其他的地方，告诉我工人党要不要支持，我告诉他们，工人党在其他的季选区，你们投票支持他。但是呢，在 Tampines 季选区，我想告诉大家，特别是在 Tampines 季选区，请你们只选择 BBB 人民力量党。当然，人家问我为什么呢？我就给他们的理由。第一，工人党 Worker Party 不仁不义不道。为什么呢？因为他们有理由突然之间放弃了买林本列季选区，也不通知任何在野党。这就是什么？这就是有心直接帮助 BAB 人民行动党直接自动胜利。我无法理解。我希望所有新加坡公民记住这件事，所以我要求所有 Tampines 居民投票支持 BBB。第二，工人党 Worker Party 去年在 BAB 的精英叫做黄志明提出的时候，说叫德国保险集团安联宣布以大概20亿元向植总旗下的一家公司叫英康保险公司收购最少50亿%的股份。这个交易不符合新加坡人的利益，你们还记得这件事情吗？记得。这件事情就是精英去做的，现在他成为候选人，所以大家要吸取这个教训。当时研究的在研究，研究的在研究，政府觉得不行啊，立刻叫停。从7月到10月，工人党在国会身为议员，没有抗议，也没有反对。Abstain from voting， 弃权，这是为民服务吗？这是很不负责任的国会议员。所以 Tampines 选民记得投票给 BBB， 不有人再相信了。第三个理由，工人党 Worker Party 其实在间接或直接也支持间接税通过，比如碳税。他们在谈碳税的时候，模棱两可的做法 ，yes no no to yes yes to agree agree to no agree。天哪，这样的情况不行啊，没有自信。所以 Tampines 的朋友们，请投票给 BBB。我进入国会，我会告诉他们什么叫碳税。新加坡贡献碳税在这个世界上到今年为止只有 0.2%。但是呢，这不是我的主要的话题，主要是身为国会议员不闻不问，真的是要不得。所以 支持 BBB， 我们替你们开口。第四，工人党 Worker Party 在与生肖传染病有相关的法令，在国会里不反对也不抗议。如果改次疫情再发生，不打疫苗就罚款坐牢。请问各位朋友，这是人命关天，关系到你我生死的问题，身体是自己的，不是国家的，所以要不要打疫苗，应该是我们自己做决定、做选择，而不是强制性去罚款、去坐牢。所以这个问题、这个选择，跟 BAB Worker Party 一样的，静静的让它飘过。所以失去了人身自由，你们要不要？不可以，打不嘞，唔得嘅。所以 Tampines 选区，请牢牢记住，只投票给我们人民力量党 BBB。谢谢。还有第5个问题，工人党在 B 担心领导之下，大家都知道一件事情，叫做那一杀事件。更严重的是，工人党身为领袖，他不是一时的事源。作为一个专业律师，作为精英，作为政治领袖，他不是引导真相，而是鼓励说谎话，把谎话带进坟墓里，这是没有诚信，也是要不得。这就暴露工人党已经不是20年前的 Worker Party， 他已经变质了。这和 BAB 一样，已经不是40年前的 BAB。所以这个事件也表示了不透明、不公正、持双标准。他们都是一样，坚信只有精英、只有高级军官、还有高级公务员才能当国会议员，这是很不健康的。而且这么做是很危险的，对国家没有帮助。所以不要再听信 Worker Party、BAB 所谓的精英虚假宣言，因为我有朋友遇到，他们去见国会议员的时候，国会议员是律师的时候，他会告诉你，我是律师，我现在的身份要用国会议员跟你说。另外呢，我是部长，但是呢，我现在见你，我只能用国会议员身份和你说。所以精英要来做什么呢？没用的。国会议员选择国会议员是要肯你帮你做事的，所以不要相信这些花言巧语。所以我建议，其实呢，李显龙有说过，如果不选某某的议员，就失去了部长。其实呢，部长不需要国会议员来担任的，宪法里面没有这样的规定。其实你能干，任何人都可以当部长。也许有关当局可以考虑梁邦外、梁文辉当部长，或者是 Dr. G， 我觉得他们都是很能干的。今天 Tampines 选区会产生4角战，这是工人党的杰作，我们要感谢 Worker Party。所以应该说够了，真的是够了。上面的种种很多 太多了，无法举例。所以呢，我们要确定不要再投票，特别是在 Tampines 选区，不要再投票给 Worker Party 跟 BAB， 只有支持 BBB。我们需要 political balance and checking， 国家需要多方面不同的声音、不同的角度来看待多边性、监督跟制衡。我不相信 on sale jet on sale， 只有 BAB 相信 on sale jet on sale。所以，我希望 Tampines 选区 Tampines GRC。请你们直接真的投票给我们人民力量党。我们有直接专业的队伍，能更好的管理市政理事会。怎么管理呢？我举一个例子：中央空调 （Central Aircon System）。如果你说过滤器，很多工程师就会想到，哦，过滤器呀，需要有一个过滤膜。或者过滤网，或者过滤纸，这是科技，但是不是最尖端的科技。最尖端的科技不需要这些东西，而且能阻隔病毒。这些如果你去问 A-Star 或者 NUS 的精英，或者 NTU 的精英，到今天他们还不懂。所以我们会更有效的、更低的成本。用最顶尖的科技来管理市政理事会，所以大家放心，我们不会用多层供应商的方式来管理，所以费用会大大的减低。所以各位朋友，各位新加坡朋友，不用怕，不用怕，别惊，我们会比 Worker Party 还有BAB 做得更好。Make Singapore home again. Make Singapore home again for a better future. 不要怕，不要怕，投票给 BBB 人民力量党。谢谢，谢谢。
Thank you, Peter. He is someone I wish I can become in the future, where I can own my own business and tell my parents I am successful. He is an example I look up to, and regardless of your views of what he said, I hope you can support him. You know, some of my friends here ask me, is PPP a mole party, right? A lot of people online have been smearing us, saying we are PAP mole party. Have you read those comments? Good. Either way, I will explain it to you. Today, we are contesting in Tampines because we have no choice. 我们别无选择，站在这里，今天在Tampines竞选。Do you know why? Because as a small opposition party, we are in active talks with other opposition parties. We negotiate and we communicate with them. Tell me which party says they are going to keep their strategy a secret and do not want other opposition parties to know. Why are we talking so much on them? We have been saddened by the news. That's why. Do you think it works to our advantage to be talking so much against them? You have the answer. We are talking against them, and people think we are PAP mole party. How funny is that? Ha ha ha, correct. I have been with the party for 1 year plus. I volunteered behind the scenes. And then as a candidate, I can tell you, we are trying very hard behind the scenes. 我在政治上有大概1年了。我们人民力量党在背后有跟别的反对党联络和联系，来调整我们的政策，确保新加坡人有一个选择。但是在网络上，有些人说我们 BBB 是 BAP 的 mole party， 太搞笑了。啊，你们自己都知道，我们在背后 ，we behind the scenes, as you all know, we have let other small parties, other opposition parties contest in other area. Our best friend at RDU, we let them contest in Yishun. We gave Yishun people a choice for no three-corner fight. Have you all read that on the news? Thank you. You are logical and well-read, well-researched. Not just Yishun, we gave up 2 SMCs to other opposition party, including Workers' Party. Did you all read that on the news? Yes. Do you know we have been pushed back further and further until we got no choice but to stand at Tampines today? And which party decided to came in at the last minute without notice? Do you think we want to be here contesting in a 4-corner fight? Do you think we want to be in Ang Mo Kio contesting in a 3-corner fight? We have no choice. We spoke, our chairman Derek spoke to SUP for nearly 1 year. We told them to cooperate and discuss whether there's any joint venture. Sadly, they refuse. Search them up online. Do they have any rallies? What their manifesto are? Tell me, why do they refuse to collaborate with us? 3-corner fight in Ang Mo Kio, Lee Hsien Loong home ground. I have a lot of questions to ask, but I shall not make myself less famous. It's very sad. You guys do not see the work behind the scenes. We have gave RDU other areas to contest as well. We have relented until we have no choice, and that's my message to you today. Do you know, if given the choice, we would went to Marine Parade. As a politician, I look at the Marine Parade election this time round. Exactly! What election? It's a walkover. Singaporeans analyze the situation. Could other opposition party come in at last minute for Marine Parade? Yes, right? Were we given a chance to? No. Is this fair? No. And PAP are telling us they risk losing capable ministers in parliament. Rubbish! That's what you said. That's up for you to decide. Tell me, I'm a politician. I look at Marine Parade PAP candidates this time round. Which candidate left Marine Parade GRC? Correct. And how important is he in PAP? Sorry, I've got to laugh at this one. Bloody hell. Okay. So tell me, why did PAP never put Tan See Leng in Marine Parade GRC? Why did PAP move Tan See Leng to Chua Chu Kang? Parachute. PAP supporters in Marine Parade. All I've got to tell you this. Do you want your minister and member of parliament leaving your home ground? Does it make sense to take Tan See Leng out of Marine Parade? All this, you do your own math and think in your heads. Does it add up for our party to go over to Marine Parade and contest? Yes. Do we have a choice? No. Not given a choice. Exactly. We were not given a choice. We were not even informed. Can you all see the political state at play today? Workers' Party. And a lot of people are accusing us of being a mole party. Tell me, are we really a mole party at this point after knowing all this? No. Tell me, Tampines voters, who will you vote for? I respect Workers' Party a lot, especially Low Tia Kiang. I respect him a lot. Back in those times, Worker Party's members have to endure a lot of shit thrown at them by PAP. But today, I'm here asking myself the question, why did all this happen? Next bit of information. Do you all think Worker Party will win Punggol and Sengkang? I am Worker Party. I think they have the capacity to do it. They can win in Sengkang and Punggol. Sadly, are we given a choice at here, Tampines today, to pull out of Tampines? So tell me, does it make sense for you to vote for us? Yes. What Peter said, I can summarize in a few points. When carbon tax was introduced, which party kept silent? Workers' Party. Workers' Party. When the vaccine mandate was issued, which party kept silent? As an opposition party, should you be silent on these issues? No. I have to share a story on why I stand here today. My brothers, my classmate asked me, 24 years old, serving politics. Why, bro? And the reason is simple. I do not want you all to be thrown in jail. That's my motive. Honestly. During my 2 years of service in NS, people told me, if you do not vaccinate, we will throw you in DB. We will throw you in jail. I experienced that, and I mentally died. It's not easy being threatened with these kind of remarks. That's why I ask you all, do you all want to go to jail? No! I just want to be an ordinary citizen and step out of politics. Do I have a choice? No! I want to look at the next generation, look at my brothers in the eye and say, I fought for you all. So tell me, are we a mole party? No. Do your own analysis deeply in your heads. Thank you. Next, I will pass the speaker to Miss Abba Arun. She's a nice lady that does charity, and that speaks volume of her work behind the scenes. Miss Abba, please. Thank you.
Hi Singaporean, Tampines residents, ni hao, how are you? Warren, my name is Arun. Okay, let me speak up in Malay. Apa khabar semua? Malam ini saya berdiri di sini bukan hanya sebagai calon tetapi sebagai warga Singapura, seorang ibu, seorang kakak, seorang anak perempuan, seorang yang mencintai negara ini dengan sepenuh hati. Hari ini Singapura berdiri di persimpangan jalan. Kita tidak menghadapi krisis mendadak. Kita menghadapi ancaman yang perlahan, berbahaya, senyap. Satu yang mengancam kelangsungan hidup kita sebagai rakyat. Kadar jumlah kesuburan kami telah merosot kepada 0.97, terendah di dunia. Biar saya katakan secara terang-terangan, jika kita tidak bertindak sekarang, rakyat Singapura akan menjadi minoriti di rumah kita sendiri. Dan apa yang pemerintah PAP buat? Daripada membetulkan punca, mereka malah membuka pintu empangan lebih luas, mengeluarkan 30,000 hingga 40,000 warga negara baharu setiap tahun. Adakah mereka berfikir bahawa mereka boleh menggantikan warga negara seperti ini, menggantikan bahagian yang rosak dalam mesin? Saudara-saudari sekalian, makcik, pakcik, abang-abang, kakak-kakak, anda tidak boleh mengimport cinta untuk Singapura. Anda tidak boleh mengimport semangat sebenar Singapura. Betul tak? Spirit of Singapore you cannot buy, cannot import. Yes. Hanya mereka yang membina negara ini yang menangis dan berdarah untuk tanah air ini. Yang bermimpi tentang tanah ini setiap malam. Hanya mereka yang benar-benar akan berjuang untuk Singapura. Kita yang berjuang untuk Singapura. Betul tak? Mengapa rakyat Singapura tidak memulakan keluarga? Kenapa ya? Tanya diri sendiri, adakah kita tidak mahu anak? Sudah tentu tidak kan? Semua orang mahu anak. You all want a children one day? Ini kerana sistem telah menjadikan hidup kita sukar. Terlalu sukar. Punca pertama, perumahan. Pasangan muda yang memohon BTO hari ini, berapa lama mereka perlu menunggu? 5 tahun? 6 tahun? 7 tahun? Pada masa anda akhirnya mendapat kunci anda sudah berusia 30 tahun. Harga pun telah menaik lebih tinggi. Bagaimana untuk memulakan keluarga awal seperti itu? Dan yang lebih teruk lagi, baru-baru ini terdapat tanda-tanda pemerintah sedang menyediakan rakyat Singapura untuk menerima BTO yang lebih tinggi. Harganya lebih tinggi ya. Pada Januari 2024, HDB berkata mereka menyimak model penentuan harga BTO, membayangkan bahawa flat masa depan boleh diberi harga lebih hampir kepada nilai pasaran untuk ketelusan. Dipetik dari The Straits Times CNA Reports. Tetapi jangan silap, ini tidak memihak kepada anda. Jika flat BTO dipancang lebih dekat dengan harga pasaran yang melambung tinggi, pasangan muda akan dibebankan di bawah pinjaman yang lebih berat, hutang yang lebih berat, beban yang lebih berat. Pakar bebas seperti Independent Singapore dan pengalisannya di Online Citizen Asia telah memberi amaran daripada membantu rakyat Singapura memulakan keluarga, penempatan harga BTO lebih tinggi dan melambatkan perkahwinan, menangguhkan kelahiran dan memburukkan lagi krisis kesuburan. Dan apakah yang berlaku kepada misi asal HDB? Perumahan awam mampu dimiliki oleh semua. Apa yang jadi? Hari ini, kita mesti bertanya, mampu dimiliki oleh siapa? Bandingan yang berpatutan dengan apa? Mampu hanya jika anda bekerja 2 pekerjaan dan mengambil pinjaman 30 tahun? Teman-teman, kami berkata tidak kepada harga BTO yang lebih tinggi dan mahal. Kita mesti menuntut harga flat BTO berdasarkan kos pembinaan ditambah dengan margin kecil, bukan atas kegilaan pasaran swasta. Perumahan awam mesti berkhidmat kepada orang ramai, bukan keuntungan. Next, kos sara hidup. Setiap kali kita pergi ke pasar raya, beli barang, setiap bil, setiap yuran anda rasa sebab. Penjagaan anak, astronomi, susu tepung, harga emas, pengangkutan, harga terus naik. Betul tak? Makin mahal kan? Everything's getting expensive. Ketidakpastian pekerjaan. Malah mereka yang belajar bersungguh-sungguh, bekerja keras akhirnya dihimpit oleh pekerja asing yang lebih murah. Dan biar saya beritahu awak, sebahagian daripada bakat asing ini telah ditangkap oleh ijazah palsu. Ingat 2018, Kementerian Tenaga Manusia MOM mendedahkan sekurang-kurangnya 15 PMET asing yang ditangkap dengan CJ palsu daripada yang dipanggil kilang ijazah. Kilang untuk membeli ijazah. Mereka membayar wang untuk sekeping kertas, tiada kemahiran sebenar, tiada latihan sebenar. Namun, mereka telah diberi peluang yang baik yang sepatutnya untuk rakyat Singapura. Adakah ini adil? Dan apa yang berlaku kepada mereka apabila ditangkap? Hanya satu tamparan di pergelangan tangan, diberi larangan kerja saja. Tiada masa penjara yang serius, tiada denda yang berat. Adakah adil? Dan itu hanya mereka yang tertangkap. Berapa ramai lagi yang terlepas kerana sistem terlalu longgar. Inilah yang berlaku apabila anda mengutamakan angka bilangan penduduk daripada kehidupan rakyat Singapura. Sementara itu, rakyat Singapura asli sedang bergelut. Ada yang terpaksa menurunkan taraf kejayaan mereka. Ada yang terpaksa memandu Grab semata-mata untuk terus hidup. Saudara-saudaraku, adakah ini adil? Adakah adil? Jika anda fikir ia tidak adil, katakan dengan kuat, ini tidak adil. Speak louder, is it not fair? Kalau negara-negara lain melindungi rakyat mereka, mengapa kita tidak? Lihat Australia, sebelum mereka mengeluarkan pas kerja, majikan mesti membuktikan tiada warga Australia tempatan boleh mengisi pekerjaan itu. Lihat Hungary, mereka menyara keluarga mereka memberikan pelepasan cukai yang besar dan insentif yang mempunyai anak. Lihat Jepun, daripada mengimport, mereka melabur berbilion-bilion dolar untuk membantu keluarga muda berkembang baju. Lihat Switzerland, pemeriksaan ketat terhadap kelayakan pekerja asing sorry. Lihatlah Switzerland, pemeriksaan ketat terhadap kelayakan pekerja asing untuk melindungi rakyat mereka sendiri. Adakah anda semua ingat janji Swiss Standard of Living? Adakah anda nampak setakat ini? Negara-negara tersebut mendahulukan rakyat, sentiasa dahulukan. Bukankah itu contoh yang baik untuk diikuti? Tetapi di sini, Singapura hanya percaya tetapi jangan sahkan. Adakah ini tadbir urus yang baik? Adakah ini mendahulukan rakyat Singapura? Kami dibuat berasa seperti warga kelas tua di negara kami sendiri. Cukuplah. Rancangan PPP rancangan sebenar untuk rakyat Singapura. Kami di sini bukan hanya untuk mengadu, kami di sini untuk berjuang dan menawarkan penyelesaian sebenar. Pertama, program perumahan permulaan keluarga. Rumah pangsa mampu milik untuk pasangan muda di bawah 30 tahun. Dibina lebih awal, tiada lagi penantian BTO yang tidak berkesudahan. Nombor 2, nafkah bulanan anak. Allowance $300 setiap bulan bagi setiap kanak-kanak sehingga sekolah menengah. Makanan, pengangkutan, internet, buku, semuanya dilindungi. Ketiga, subsidi kelahiran besar-besaran dan sokongan IVF. 80% subsidi untuk bersalin, 90% untuk IVF. Bawa kegembiraan, bukan ketakutan, untuk memulakan keluarga. Nombor 4, pembaharuan immigration. Pengesahan penuh ijazah asing. Penjara dan denda mereka yang menggunakan kelayakan palsu. Majikan yang subahat akan dihukum. Nombor 5, had jumlah penduduk pada 6.5 juta. Lindungi ruang kita, rumah kita, budaya kita, masa depan kita. Saudara-saudaraku, Singapura bukan sekadar tempat yang menjanawang. Singapura bukan sekadar lapangan terbang. Singapura adalah rumah kita. Nenek moyang kita membinanya dengan tangan kosong dan impian mereka. Kami bukan anti orang asing. Kami ada pro Singapura. Kita mesti menghormati warisan itu. Kita mesti melindungi masa depan itu. Hari ini, saya meminta anda bukan hanya menyokong kami. Saya minta awak bangkit. Bangkit untuk Singapura. Bangkit untuk rakyat Singapura. Bangkit untuk anak-anak, ibu bapa kita. Bangkit untuk semangat Singapura. Adakah awak bersama saya? Adakah anda bersedia untuk menjadikan Singapura milik kita semula? Jika anda sudah bersedia, maka sertai kami. Undilah People's Power Party. Undilah untuk masa depan yang anda mahu lihat. Bersama-sama kita akan menjadikan Singapura milik kita. Bersama-sama kita akan menjadikan Singapura kukuh lagi. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih, Madam Abba. Baiklah. You know, it's not easy for Madam Abba to be here on stage today. She's the youngest in her family, and she drawn criticism from her family in choosing to stand for election. As a mother of 5, as a woman, she decided to step up and make Singapore home again. She understands what it means to run a home, to take care of her kids, and even contribute in her spare time to charity. She might be a woman, but I believe her values outshine all other candidates. And with that, I respect her a lot. A round of applause to her, please. My cousin, who was a feminist, asked me, why aren't there more ladies and female in our party? That's a funny question, but a good one. How many of these people are willing and courageous to step up? How many of these women dare to stand out in the limelight and believe that the family values are important? She did, and I respect her a lot. While we are contesting here, some other party are campaigning for gender change and pronouns. I am not against that. I have classmates and friends from the LGBT community. Being friends with them, my other bros make fun of me. I understand how hard their lives are. And we do not discriminate against them, but the agenda that's being pushed. That's the fact. And not many people understand. After all, while you push for gender change, you are teaching the next generation that when they are born, they can choose their gender and that there are many other choices around. Do you know how many people regretted sex change operation procedures? Where are the stories on the news for those who regretted it? They are on medical and hospitalization medicines for the rest of their life. Have you read their stories? Please do read up on them and understand what we are campaigning for. We want to give them freedom, but we do not want their agenda to be pushed into the business world and onto our next generation. Our birth rate is already below 1.0. I am friends with them, and I've seen their relationship issues and whatever that went on in their teenage years. But let this not affect the next generation on education and censorship. The next generation should have a choice and should be informed of any medical procedures before they turn into adulthood. Do you agree? You know, as 12-year-old kids, can we expect them to differentiate between whether their body is a guy or a girl? All these you all should consider and understand which party is pushing for this.
Workers' Party. James Lim. James. Worker Party. Workers. Work Party.
Do you know we have been flamed online by the LGBTQ community? They think we are bigots. And I'm sad. I'm trying to make it equal. And we want to give them the rights they deserve. But in their active pursuits of activism for LGBTQ agenda, we are smeared and we become less famous. Tell me, if I want to win votes, if I'm a more party, would I object to all this? No. What makes me more famous? I can just simply say, I agree with you, I love you, and I will fight for you. But as a government, it's different. We must consider the next generation. In the business world, if we make it compulsory for 5% of LGBTQ to be hired in a company under DEI law, do you know how controversial and how terrible that will be? You make it compulsory, and what if, as a small company, I can't find someone like that? When I'm taught growing up, the word is meritocracy, fairness. We should not judge them, we should not discriminate them, but we should not promote them and make it a forced law. That's all I'm saying. And next up, we have our chairman, Mr. Derek, an ex-police officer who I respect a lot. He brought me into this party. We had our discussion on the civil service, on the governance, and we realized there's a big issue. I spoke about corruption. I spoke about how the system is failing, and they censored it. With that, please give your ears to him and listen to what he has to say. Thank you.
Good evening, Tampines. Good evening, Singapore and Ang Mo Kio in front of the TV. Good evening. Thank you. Okay, before I start, just now someone say he lost the wallet. So if you found a wallet, please bring over there to our corner over here. Okay, just now, let me make up some of the things that Zheng Da has said. He talked about being Mo party. Do you know who funded the campaign? Most of the campaign? It's actually none other than Mr. Meng Seng. He sold his property to fund for this campaign. How many people in Singapore love Singapore so much that he sell his own property to fight for Singaporeans? And for those who say that we are the Mo party, let me tell you, we are not. When our funds run out, you guess who come out with the funding? The medical professional. Why? I will tell you why later. But before I start with the very serious topic, let me say something. My friend say you must say this out. This is a recent meme. When I drink beer, I get drunk. But I never make a mistake of thinking, because I drunk, I drink. Who is it? Our PAP candidate, Mr. David Neo. He's a star general. Don't know how many stars. 2-star general, yeah. So they say that he's very arrogant. I think 8 out of 10 comments, he's very arrogant. So Tampines, do you want your MP to be a 2-star general telling you down? I will be very afraid to meet him at the Meet the People session. Maybe if I ask something wrong, he asks me, drop 100. This, my team, is the most valuable people that you can find. With a true heart, they fight for something that none of the party in Singapore dare to bring up. And I want to say about this very important message, which is the jab or jail. In 2023, the law has been changed. Not one, not two, but many laws have been changed, quietly, without anyone noticing. I'm a supporter of opposition. I used to support Workers' Party because we supported them so that they can use their hammer to knock some sense into PAP. But this time round, they are quiet. They didn't know anything. So what did they change? They changed. All of you, do you have this on your hand? Yes. So one of the law they changed is, in the next pandemic, if you do not jab, you will be jailed. Do you support this law? And how much will you be fined or jailed? How long will you be jailed? Yes, good. And that is much more severe than what our dear Samuel will face. 6 months imprisonment is not something, it's not a small matter. Second, not inside here, but under Infectious Disease Act, the Director General of Health can empower any health officer under Section 55A and Section 55B to break into your house without warrant to enforce health measure. Do you support such a law? I totally don't support, because I can see the kind of abuse that people can carry out. The state will be in anarchy. Imagine anyone can break into your house. You do not even know whether they are health officer or someone creating trouble. Who should be very afraid? Elderlies living alone. Women living alone. Even men with children. How can they actually protect all their children and their wives? So this law must be reviewed. It's a lousy piece of law. Yes. And why did WP kept quiet? Yes, just now like what Martin said, they are actually PAP in blue shirt. The next law that has been changed also in 2023 is the Coroner's Act. They amended the third schedule to remove one category of death. In the past, this category of death, there's a mandatory coroner's inquiry, which means that if people pass away from medical treatment or medical intervention, a mandatory autopsy must be carried out to ascertain why this person passed away. But this law, which was meant to protect medical transparency, was removed without good reason. And again, WP kept quiet. They are in complicit with PAP. I do not know why, but let me tell you something that I know. 2 billion USD has been invested in vaccine factories in Singapore. 2 billion USD. In the next pandemic, do you think they will actually force jab this to you? Let me ask you, in 2020, if you know that PAP will tell you, no jab, no job, will you elect them? No! But you give them a strong mandate and they force this down to your throat. Let me review more atrocity. This PAP government is heartless, reckless, and is a huge hypocrite. If you forget anything, just remember these people in white are hypocrites. They say you can have medical exemption, but have you read their circular how to obtain vaccination exemption? My friend has many medical conditions. It's Madam Ang. She said you must bring this up in the rally. I am speaking for many vets injured and many who pass away because they believe in the government. All this pass away. The soul, we have to bring justice to them. Madam Ang shared with me. She's working in the civil service. The boss say you must go for jab. If you don't go jab, I will terminate you. So she said I has a lot of medical memo from my doctors. But the boss say the MOH circular said that you must go for Pfizer first. If you suffer side effect, go for the second one, Moderna. If you also suffer side effect, then we give you an exemption. She was distraught. She said, if I get the first jab and got side effect, how can I go for the second jab? It's crazy. But how many people know about this? We have to uncover all this atrocity carried out by MOH. Another message come in over the past few days after people hearing my rally. He said, my father was denied kidney dialysis if he refused the vaccination. What do you think of this? Murderer! You threaten people. If you don't vax, you cannot go for kidney dialysis. What kind of government is this? We cannot give them absolute power. Yes. And WP is quiet all this while. I wonder, have they been bought over by the big pharmaceutical? And Mr. Ong Yi Kang, why are you representing like a sales rep than a health regulator? Why I step up in the politics? Because 4 years back, I went to meet my MPs. His name is none other than Dr. Koh Poh Kun, which I'm contesting now against him. When I bring up all the evidence and all the medical side effect, and I told him, I say, sir, do you think that we should actually relook all this? There's so much side effect. And then I say, and the way you carry out all the VDS, all the VDM, it is crazy. One moment you say this, one moment you say that, and you flip-flop here. Do you know how he talked to me? I say, do you have any medical reason to do this, all these measures? You are a medical doctor. Okay, for your info, I'm a science student, graduated in biotechnology. So what I study is I make vaccine. And I study patents. So I told him, we know what we are looking at. So should you review this thing? He shouted at me and said, don't create trouble here. All these are for control. It is at that moment my heart sank. I say PAP had dropped down to such low level without any scientific evidence. And they're playing with people's life and playing with people's livelihood, playing with other people's business. Did WP make any noise? No. Who is PAP in blue? White underwear. Next, I will talk about cost of living. Last rally, I talked about the carbon tax. Do you know, last year to this year, how much did the carbon tax increase? 500%. From $5 per ton to $25 per ton. Can your salary increase 500%? No. But do you know next year, they are going to increase to $45 per ton. And that's another 80%. Can your salary increase another 80%? No. But do you know, WP is a huge advocate of carbon tax. Did they tell you that they actually advocate for carbon tax? No. And PAP had actually put up their price table for carbon increase. In 2030, they're going to increase to $80 per ton. And what does it mean to your cost of living? Huge amount. From $5 in 2023 to $80 in 2030. That's 1,600% in 7 years. If you vote for PAP again, that is your cost of living will keep going up. And for WP, they are silent. They disagree on how carbon tax is being implemented, but they did not oppose to it. For us, we think that at current high inflationary pressure, we should not have all these taxes. And second, what made me so frustrating is that carbon tax is imposed on water. Do you know that? But water is essential for all of us. And in Singapore, water has 3 taxes. And now plus carbon tax, we have 4 taxes. And that will have a lot of impact in your cost of living, your hawker food, and everything else. What taxes do we have on water? Water conservation tax, water bond tax. And on top of that, now we have carbon tax. And on top of carbon tax, we have the final one, GST. So right now we have 4 taxes on our water. And that's why all your food are increasing. All your water bills are increasing. So we must not give PAP absolute power. Vote for here, vote for PPP. How do you know which is the more party? It's only when you vote PPP into the parliament, because we will bring this carbon tax up. We will bring this vaccine issue up. And you can see WP stand on which side when they are asked to vote. If they vote in favor of PAP, then you know who is PAP in blue. Next, WP is a woke party. We are not against LGBTQ. We are against the woke culture that is sweeping across the whole world. What is the woke culture? People ask. Most people do not know. Have you heard of DEI? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Recently, Arun said we must push for more DEI. But what is the issue? It is because it will affect our livelihood and our businesses, and it will tear our very social fabric apart. Our social cohesion with all our different race of people living together harmoniously. And that's why, in terms of national policy, in terms of stability, this DEI culture cannot come into Singapore. Once it comes in, it is irreversible. We have nothing against all the people who are LGBT. I have many friends who are LGBTQ, and they form good friendship with me. But this is on the national level policy. And national stability and social cohesion must be priority. And now, I have a question for Mr. Faizal Manap. Faizal Manap is known to be a very religious person, and he is a fighter for his community. But he also knows that WP is a woke party. Between party interests and the interests of your community, are you able to speak up convictionally in the parliament? Are you able to speak up for your Muslim community when your party's member push for woke culture? For example, Professor James Lim. Do you know that he pushed for gender confirmation surgery subsidies? These subsidies means you and I have to subsidize for gender confirmation surgery. Do you agree with that? We are not against gender confirmation, but use your own money, but not use taxpayer money. Do you know that Professor James Lim want to push for more pronouns being used in the school? I tell you, Akong Ama, he and she already confused. Now you want to push Zim, Them, They, We. That will be very confusing for our society. For our party, we just want to maintain status quo. You agree? We don't want all this Western culture, the 76 pronouns. 76 pronouns. So next time you call your daughter and your son, maybe he or she identify themselves as chair or table. How do you call them? Yeah, so I think I've made a lot of the point, and I will pass my time to my fellow speaker, Via. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. As an ex-policeman, I represent and I admire him for all the values he stands for. Next up is my good brother, Via Nathan. Before he even ran a campaign, someone already called him stupid Indian. Do you think we still have racial harmony in Singapore? No. Are you aware of a certain person with the initial CC disrupting our racial fabric in Singapore? Tell me, should these issues be addressed? Exactly, where is he? PAP told him to lie low. And how many ministers like his post? And you tell me these are the values they stand for? Civil servants, police officers, what do you think about this? Me and Derek are standing here today fighting for the next 5 years. Your vote will say everything about your own values. Does Singaporeans belong to PAP or does Singaporeans belong to the government? No, the government belongs to Singaporeans. And with that, let us hear from our good friend, Via Nathan. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Tampines, Ang Mo Kio, and Singapore. I hope you all don't mind. I like to use the mic. I don't like to stand behind the podium. So just bear with me. I just want to start by saying that when I was just sitting here listening to my comrades, I'm filled with pride. Not because we are famous or we are special, but because I am in a company of men and one woman who are fearless. They have the guts, they have the courage to stand up and say what they know is true. If there's something that I can't stand about politics, and this is the main reason I never got involved in politics, is because it felt like a game of ego, of mudslinging, of lies. Politicians often have to tell you what you want to hear and tell you lies just to win your votes. Do you want to be lied to? No. Exactly. That's why here, the People's Power Party, we stand primarily for truth. The people always deserve to know the truth. Not a government that manipulates the truth to control the people. That's unacceptable. Everybody knows this. Knowledge is power. If you control the truth, you control the people. So people, vote for truth. Vote for people who will tell you the truth and not manipulate you with lies. Not just for yourself, but for Singapore, for your children, for the future. Yes, exactly. For those who are not here, for those who have suffered in silence, who have been manipulated by fear, so much so that they can't stand up and speak for themselves. That's why we're here. We're not here for fanfare. We're not here for fun. The People's Power Party is here on a mission. We're here on a mission to take our home back, to make Singapore our home again. Thank you, thank you. We are here to tell the truth. We want to be able to say what we know directly. It was wrong to force on the entire nation a medical treatment that was untested. It was wrong. Someone has to come out and say it directly. We have to make a clear stand. We believe in the family. We believe that the family is the backbone of the nation. And no other agenda should compromise that. I often feel that the PAP swings and turns with whatever wind of popular interest is in the market. And so they're willing to twist and turn like a snake just so that they can win some extra votes. Is that acceptable? No! Do you want a government that says one thing today and changes their mind just because it's popular? No! That's unacceptable. That's wrong. That's being manipulative of the people. That's having no moral courage, no moral standing. And in Singapore, we must have a vision as a nation. A lot of the opposition parties, they're talking about what little policies they'll change, which tax to use, whether the price of HDB, all this I think all of you already know. But what we need more so than that is a vision for Singapore. A vision that we can all get behind. A vision that remembers that we are Singaporeans, we're humans, not just numbers, not just economic digits. I think most people are tired of this culture of fear and pragmatism. Because if you are just concerned about numbers, you're just concerned about how much is the GDP, how much is the median salary, how many of us feel like digits? If you lead this nation in this way, sure, we might be wealthy, we might be rich, but we will lose our souls. We will lose our hearts, and we will just be a money-minded nation. That is pathetic. I have a dream for Singapore as a young man. I have a dream of a nation led not by fear, but by love. Where the boundaries, where the index, where the measurement of success is not in dollars and cents, but in meaning and fulfillment. Where our young people are able to take ownership of this land, call it their own. Where we are not alienated by our own government and forced to leave. But we will stay here and not just die for our country, but live for our country. That's what we need. An aging population is not just because of a low fertility rate, but many of our young people, they leave. They leave Singapore because they don't have the space to build something that they believe in. This is not the Singapore that I want. I have a dream for Singapore. And it's a dream that we are living in a land where we can be free. Where we can be free to do what we know is right. To build this nation truly. And that's why I would vote for People's Power Party. Aside from the policies, aside from the law, it's the heart, it's the values. It's to make Singapore our home again. It turned out standing here because I think I'm out of time. It's okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Veer. Sorry to cut off your time, bro. Guys, before I forget, Singaporeans, PAP supporters, I have someone I need to show you today. He's in wheelchair bound, so he's probably under a shelter. His life coincidentally changed after he took the vaccination. Now he's wheelchair bound and you can identify him easily. He's somewhere under the shelter there, most probably. Please speak to him, open your eyes, and see what are the effects of it. He's an example And we brought him here today so you guys can see for yourself whether we are talking about lies or we are fighting for truth. Please go and look for him afterwards and understand his story. Next up, we have our party SecGen. A lot of people ask me why I joined PPP. It's like a clown party. The name already so funny. These are some of the comments online. But tell me, how do I analyze which party to join? Do I listen to their words and empty promises for the next 5 years? No. 5 years ago, they tell us GST won't increase. Did it increase? Yes. Will you still vote for them? No. I've been hurt and I'm looking for a new leader. A lot of people laugh at our SecGen because he's infamous. The media portray him as hateful and idiotic. I believe I'm not wrong to say this, but he's not very well liked. So tell me, why do I join this party? I look back a few years ago for what he did for our country, Singapore. I look at what he said, I analyze his character. Tell me, who was the first one who said that HDB, Housing Enhancement Asset Scheme, is a scam? Who is he? He called it out before people are even aware. 99 years of HDB lease, they tell you it's an asset. Do you believe it now? Tell me, who was the first guy who spoke up when the PMD laws were changed? What is his name? How many people back then were affected? There was one driver who used the L swear word because he couldn't afford to pay for his installment after the law was changed. Who spoke up for him? So tell me, does it make sense for me to be here with this party? Next, tell me who suggested looking for alternative solutions for COVID-19 treatments. Who and what is his name? In order to enhance and make Singaporeans aware of TCM treatments, he got POFMAT. Tell me, which minister is willing to get POFMAT for sharing such stuffs? Do you think he's a clown? What has the media portrayed him as? Am I wrong to represent the People's Power Party? Let's give our time to our Honorable Secretary General, Mr. Meng Seng.
Thank you. 大家好 ，Thank you. Before I start， 在我开始之前，我想时间不多，但是我还是要做这一件事情。我们默静1分钟，为那些为了打针受伤、死亡的人的冤魂哀悼。We shall have a minute of silence for those who have been forced to take a vaccine and eventually injured or died without a clear reasons given to them. You know, last year, I didn't want to go to any funeral wake. 去年呢，我回去了所有的丧礼，因为我怕，我去到丧礼的时候，我会问你是几时打针呢？是怎么死的？而我会怕，我在那边哭。I'm afraid to ask, when did he take the vaccine and how did he die? I am afraid to cry in the funeral wakes. Because I do not want the spirit of the dead to come and ask me to be their 包青天. I did not want that. 我不要这些冤魂来找我，替他们讨个公道，做他们包青天。因为我有什么能力 ？I do not have a group of fighters like this. But things change with the will of heaven. A group of youngsters actually stepped forward. And they are adamant to take this issue up to the national level through the elections. All of them. Thank you. Thank you. I've told them, my party, the symbol is a torch. And the torch, as you know, when we are young, our logos, our primary school is actually a torch. It says, knowledge is power. And it is truth. But this torch is very hot. You may get burnt if you are not careful when you hold the torch. You may not get scarred or even dead if you are not careful with it. Because there are someone out there do not want the truth to be out in the open. And this is the lives we are risking just to get this into the parliament. And most importantly, even if we do not get into parliament, we get into the national platform for everyone to be aware what is happening. However, the power up there is very powerful. Whatever we have said about the vaccine, you have been censored. Censored and censored. But we are adamant through every means that we have to bring this issue up again. And today, Dr. Meng was talking about trust. This election is about trust. Who do you trust to lead Singapore into the future? I agree with him. In fact, our first political broadcast, if you have watched, which was written by Nathan, right, Veil, it is about trust. We want to vote people who we can vote, we can trust to run the country. And mind you, it is not just about the ministers whether we trust or not. It's about the process, the people in the process, in the policy making, in the parliament, to debate whether we can trust them or not, inclusive all the opposition parties. Is that so? I can tell you the trust level at this moment of PAP and all others have declined. You have listened to all of what they have said. Why didn't they object to a law that is so draconian? It's medical tyranny, in fact. Why didn't they object for the law to be taken up that deprive us of the medical transparency. 我死了，我也要有知道我为什么死，对不对？ If you die, you must know why you die, or else there will be no closure for the family. Is that so? Why did they do that? But nobody raised a voice, not even a finger in Parliament. And talking about trust, can we trust the PAP? I will tell you why. MRT breaks down over and over again. They tell us, oh, they are using a not preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance. Whatever system you use, it must be better and not degrade. Is that true? Of course it's not true. You have a 6 days breakdown. 6 days. That's a breaking of record in Singapore history. And in many places, they don't have 6 days breakdown. And not only that happens, it happens again and again. 1 hour, 2 hours. So what type of predictive maintenance are you talking about? It is a total failure and a total betrayal of the trust that we gave them. They've been taking us for granted for that. And Singaporeans are very patient, very good-hearted. I admire that. But when it's enough is enough, you have to give the vote of no trust to PAP. Do not be gaslit by their formula. Oh, I lose a few ministers, I cannot work. If you lose a few ministers, you cannot work. Who's making is that? It is your own doing. Why? Right? Basically because they use a GRC system, they design it in such a way with first past the post. First past the post. To maximize the leverage they have. That is why they have only 60% of the votes and they have 80% of the seats, more than 80%. That is called leverage. But when it fails and it threatens their position, they turn around and tell you, hold everyone as hostage. You cannot vote against me, or else we die, you die. Is that a responsible government today? We need to teach PAP a good lesson in politics. Not that we hate PAP. Not that we say it's totally useless. PAP is still good in certain sense because the civil servants are good in certain sense. But they cannot play politics like this. It is only when you teach them a lesson to lose more ministers through this GRC system, then they will think maybe it is time to change the political system again to proportional representation. Then you will have me and some of my colleagues into Parliament. And Dr. Chi can go to Parliament. Paul Tabaya can go to Parliament. And all those good ones, Manlong Mawai, all those good people that we really trust to get into Parliament. Is that a good idea? So this election is a watershed election. Not because opposition is going to win more seats. It's because in the process of this, we will dictate what the political system will be in the next election. It is important for us to do that. Do you agree? Now, talking about trust, governance is the basis of trust. I have a friend out there, 2 friends, who wanted me to bring this up. When you vote an MP in Singapore, it's very sad. We are voting a district councillors as well as members of parliament. He told me his father stay in Ang Mo Kio. He allows me to review these details. Block 2 to 6. Right? His father is wheelchair bound. And they were doing unnecessary upgrading of the tiles. If you notice, the tiles are all good. Suddenly they want to make some contract for their own make some job for their own contractors. They ask them to knock it down and put new tiles. And not as if the tiles is better. It's more ugly, right? Never mind. But through the process, the father was forced to take another leave, but wheelchair bound. So went up and down, and you know what? If you notice, all the steps are supposed to have indicator drawn a yellow line, so that those wheelchair bound will know where are the indicators, so they do not fall down. But it's the negligence of the town council, where you have 3 steps. Only the last step have a yellow line drawn, but not the top step. And what happened? His father ghost stunned and fell back and nearly died. Have a balaku here down here. He was very angry. He confronted the town council. How can such basic maintenance be wrong in the first place? The town council push it to the contractors. The contractors push it to the town council. It's like a football game. Good governance is not a football game. You have to take real accountability for your fault. I'm not saying everyone will be perfect, but when there is a fault and there is an issue, you must step forward and say, sorry, it's our fault, and we compensate. And that's a closure. Correct. That should be the way. But no, up to now it's not settled. After half a year, it's not settled. Of course, normal people do not have the money to sue the town council or sue the contractors. He got the money to sue. However, just like every Singaporeans are so good-hearted, the father said, "Swaswala, mine." But when you do that, PAP will forever take every one of us for granted. Is that not? Justice must be seen to be done. And accountability must be extracted before trust can set in. And that is the basis of trust we are talking about. Not by wording only, by deeds of the government. And I have another one, Michael Yong, just now, I think Derek had mentioned. He's wheelchair bound because of vaccine injured. And he's confirmed he's vaccine injured. However, it took so many years for him to get compensated. When the vaccination program came in, what the PAP says? We have a program. If you are vaccine injured or dead, we can give you a certain, they don't call it compensation, they call it goodwill, because they do not want to recognize their responsibility. Because if you say it's a compensation, it means that we are wrong, the vaccine is hurting you. All right? So there is a legality in that phrasing. Never mind. He took the vaccine and he's now wheelchair bound. And it took so many months after he went to look for Ong Yi Kang. Then he gets settled. But I want to ask, how many are vaccine injured out there who did not get what they deserve? It is a betrayal and a broken promise by the government, and yet they want to force the vaccine on us in the next pandemic without any compensation. No? And in fact, they put a law of indemnity for themselves, not to take any accountability if anything fails if the vaccine fails or injured you. So tell me, how can we trust such government? No! We cannot trust a government that do not take accountability of what they do and what they say. Do you agree? I tell you who you can trust. People who have not lied in the parliament. People, party that do not have adulteries. You laugh. Actually, adultery to me is a personal thing, but it shows the character. You cheat on your own spouse. It is a private matter. As long as you are not a minister, it's okay. A backbencher is okay. But when you want me to believe that if you cheat your spouse and you can maintain a ministry, it's very, in a clear conscience, it's very difficult. Do you agree? So, who else can you trust right now? No, I can tell you, you can trust these guys. Yes. You know why I trust them? I work with them. They are not perfect human beings, definitely. I'm not a perfect human being. But at the very least, they fought this battle, they start to fight this battle with me, knowing that the chances of winning is actually very slim. However, they are willing to put their lives, their reputation at stake, just to get the torch of truth lighting up and burning through the land that we love, and show the truth to everyone, what is happening in our parliament and in our government. And I have very good, high respect for such people. Really. You see, my team is not scholars or elites. Definitely. No scholars and elites out there. They are the commoners. People laugh, some people say laugh at William. Huh? Correct. He's most misunderstood person. William is a workhorse. Not only for himself, not only for the party. He cares for his own drivers. He has the empathy to speak up for them whenever it is necessary. And empathy is the most important thing in politician. Without empathy, you do not speak up when it is necessary. No matter how inconvenient the truth is, you just keep quiet. I do not aim to be political correct. I only aim to be policy correct. That is Meng Seng. Now, in party politics, it's very complicated. But these people join my parties because they are totally aligned with my vision and with my core values. We are the only party in this campaign always talk about our core value and our vision. Which party in their rallies talk about such thing? And I can tell you, just now someone talked about David Neo, right? David Neo is scary. Not because he's a former chief of army. It is his mindset that we should be wary about. When he says something, we do not need people to complain in the parliament, right? We do not need their ideas. What does that tell you? Not even Lawrence Wong dare to say that he has a monopoly of ideas. But this guy, a rookie in politics, actually felt so powerful to say that I know everything. You do not need to complain anything. We do not need your ideas. And I will just execute as it is. It is such arrogance that will destroy Singapore one day. Do you agree? Yes. Because we are seeing a lot of civil servants joining PAP. And there's two issues out here. It means when the party and the civil servants are like that, what will happen? Especially for an incumbent for 60 years. It means that all the civil servants will angkat the ministers. Even when there is the wrong policy, they will still say, you are good, you are right. And there will be a very big blind spot in their policy making process. And that is what we call groupthink. And if that happens, we do not have critical thinkers, but idiotic followers in our civil service as well as our government. And that will be the fall of Singapore if we have this culture to continue. And the biggest crisis is not Trump. It's not external. The biggest crisis for a nation is always internal. Correct? And the biggest crisis is to have people who think the same, who make the same policies that make us so miserable and desperate and demoralized to become the ministers. Is that correct? It is a betrayal that we felt that is so disheartening. When they allow 1.4 billion of people from mainland India to compete with a tiny little population of 3.7 million. In fact, the working class is only 2.7 million. 1.5, oh no, about 2 million people, Singaporeans are working. Do you know what does that mean? 1% of 1.4 billion is 40 million people competing with 2 million people in Singapore. And 1% of them can be the top 1% and compete with all the top and the medium and the mediocre Singaporeans. How are we going to grow? And that is why our youngsters do not see future in Singapore. Because they do not see the career path for them. They do not see the way to move up the corporate ladders. Because every time they have foreign talent from somewhere, from India, to come and take a place before your promotion is due. And that will destroy us as a nation. That is the betrayal that we are looking at. Do you want to vote for PAP? Vote for who? Yes, PPP. Right? Whether you are in Ang Mo Kio or Tampines. My last word to Workers' Party. Whatever outcome of this election, I will build my party stronger and I will contest in Marine Parade in next election. Because I really cannot really say that it's okay for a betrayal like this. Not only betrayal of your opposition comrades, but the voters of Marine Parade. That should not happen. And we will make sure that will happen for us in Marine Parade next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goh. Let's show him our support. To close off my speech, I would like to tell everyone a few things. What is a fall of a country? In Chinese, before a country falls, there's a saying, 奸臣和昏君. Corrupt ministers and idiotic leaders. These will bring Singapore down, not from external, but from internal. Understand what you're voting for. And to make it clear, none of us today have any thoughts of suicide or depression. Should you know what happened to us, ask yourself, why and where did we go to? Do you know, there's a lot of people saying, what are our party's policy? For that, we have our manifestos here. Please take and read through and distribute. Be logical voters. And of course, one last thing that people ask me, what good policy do I have? I do not have a direct answer, but I can say something for sure. Nuclear power is not a good thing for Singapore. PAP are looking at the options, and I can only tell you one safe option. Write it down. Thorium nuclear power. THORIUM. There have been studies done regarding this nuclear power plant, and I hope you guys can study more about it. With that, I pass my time to our chairman, Derek Sim. Thank you.
I will do a closing. Before we go to cooling day off, think about the values that we've been espousing. The values of each individual. Go through the different parties, candidates, understand what values they stand for. Don't be blinded by their certificates, their stars on their shoulder. A capable person without values will lead the country to tyranny. And this is what we have seen. What builds trust, like Goh Meng Seng said? Transparency. Only transparency will build trust. And they have quietly amended all this law. Think through which opposition to vote for. Who will approve such law? Only a sick and perverse mind will agree to such a law. I tell you, you do not need a lot of opposition. What you need is effective opposition that dare to speak up and not a populist opposition. Transparency builds trust. Integrity. Without integrity, there's no governance. And before I end the speech, without freedom, there's no nation. Let's shout Merdeka 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Merdeka! 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 Let's make Singapore home again.
Thank you, guys. Please feel free to take our merchandise and spread and share it with your friends. All of them are supported and sponsored by our supporters. Thank you. Good night.